Hey there, YouTube. Finally back with an update for the King Hauler tri-drive build. We got our parts, our two bevel gear shafts for the third drive axle finally arrived. So we'll start there. I'm gonna get the axle built, and then we will try to get it mounted up. I've got another one of these cross members. I've got the actual right suspension brackets, and hopefully we have all the hardware. So the problem with buying all these bits and pieces on eBay is you don't always get everything you need. Like I bought that rear end was supposed to be complete. They just shorted me those parts. But I bought a full suspension set. It was supposed to be everything, and it was everything except the bolts and the hardware. It was just brackets and the like. It was not any actual bolts or nuts or anything with it. They try to sell all those separately, and a little tiny parts bag they want $4 or $5 shipping for. It's ridiculous. But I did find some that were a little more reasonable. I do have some more parts coming that I need for the new top secret build that I haven't shown you yet. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. We'll throw this rear end together, and then we'll start looking at how to mount it up. Alright, so built the third axle, and I spent about 30 minutes trying to scrounge up hardware. Luckily I have quite a bit of leaf spring components. Needed a bunch of these type of screws. And I've got the extra rear cross member in the rails now. I had to take half of that off. And I noticed that my original forward drive axle was upside down. They have these little bump stops that hit the frame rail when it's moving, and mine on that one were pointed towards the bottom of the truck. So it worked out alright, because now I had to take that off to see what hardware and stuff I need, see how it all goes together, because it's been, like I said, over about 2 years since I built this the first time. So now I've got to go ahead and mount up the extra rear suspension brackets and figure out how we're going to attach that forward drive axle, because it can't attach like the stock one because of leaf springs. And I did pick these up. These are Lesu aluminum lower links. I have some plastic ones coming in. I didn't want to just do aluminum on the front, but the other ones haven't made it yet, so that's what we're gonna get. So these are gonna go something like this. Don't know exactly yet. I've got to get the brackets on the forward axle, get the frame rails tightened back up, and get the middle axle in, and we'll go from there. See where we're at. Okay, so I want to show you this part real close in case you're trying to do a tri-drive conversion. We need to make sure you understand what's going on here. So this is our standard tandem axle setup, leaf sprung on top, trailing arms on the bottom. This is the exact same as what's in the middle of this. We have this two side brackets that are aluminum. We have the middle cross member with the drop down support that bolts into the middle of it. So what I've got here so far is the bracket, the cross member, the bolt there, and the bolt there, or screw, I'm sorry. The reason I haven't done these two is because one of those two is going to be where our upper mounts to. I've got a feeling it's going to be the middle one, and that's going to have its own set of challenges, because the middle one is not threaded. You can't tap a screw through it unless you go really big. It's got the what Where's the part at? I've got the piece. It's got a long rod that goes all the way through, and that is the point that the rear suspension pivots from. That bar going through there. Now I do have that, and that should be wide enough to go through both of the arms, the upper arms. So we just gotta start. We'll mount the bottom one just like it is on the truck, which, if I find the right one here, I believe will be this one, and it'll go right there just like that. And this will attach to the bottom of the gear, the axle, just like the standard one will. And then once we get that on, we'll start looking at the top and trying to engineer how that's going to work. Alright, so this has been a battle. I'm still trying to find hardware for this. All of my screws with the edge on them like that are too short for those, and I need just another couple millimeters. That one's on there really tight. Shock mounts. Let's talk shock mounts. I've got this side mounted up. On the factory, they come with these little cups to set them on. This helps space them out a little bit. And those will not work right here with our third axle mount. So I just opted to not put them on all 6. Just gonna, I hate to do it on 4 and not on 2. So just leaving them off. And I'm using the stock little brass piece and a stainless washer to compensate for the lack of the plastic. So they're not quite perfectly up and down, but they're enough that it doesn't interfere with the function. I'm going to keep searching. I've been going at this about an hour now, digging through bins of old junk, trying to find some of these that are a bit longer. I know I've got some around here, I just don't know what they're on. That's the problem. I think they might be on the trail finder too. I'm going to have to take a look, see if I can swap them out for some short ones. And this kind of stuff that eats up a lot of time. It's not having the right hardware, but what can we do? It is what it is. We're getting close. So I'm going to keep looking. Alright, so the last part I lied. The washer behind the little brass fitting on the shock was not enough. So I had to use some of these little beveled, if you can see that, little beveled spacers that are real common on RC 4-wheel drive stuff. So now that functions, the shock is straight up and down. Barely enough thread left on the screw to get into the nylon part of the lock washers, because this isn't the Tamiya frame, those holes aren't threaded. So I had to put a nut on the back, but it works. There we go, zoom in a little better. You can see the spacer in there, the brass. Got the back 2 axles done. Still looking for hardware, so I'll be back. Alright, so the problems continue. The bolts here for the bottom links, I did not have any. I remember where I see them, and it was on the Scania kit. They are the same as the upper front shackle bolts. So I've had to order that parts bag, which I think was parts bag B for the King Hauler. Has a whole bunch of stuff and 6 of those. And problem number 2 was, where'd it go? The shock ends. These are different than the other 4, and they're on the F tree on the King Hauler kit. And that was $20 for 2 F trees. Comes with 6 of those, and that has trailing arms and a bunch of stuff on it. But it's just more parts, I guess, we'll have for the next build. So that was another $20. And now, big problem number 3, is I went to line up here. Well, if I can even get that in the, go ahead and throw something in there just to hold it. it doesn't line up with either of these holes. If we do it that one, it's all the way down. If we do it on that one, it's way too high, and it gives you no travel. So it's looking like we're gonna have to make new holes. That's not gonna be fun. I'm gonna find the right location and hope it works without moving the axle too far forward. So we're gonna have to play with suspension travel and pinion angle and try to make sense of this. I'm gonna have to put the tires on it and just make sure that, you know, we need them all three evenly spaced. We don't want our front tire to have a little bit more gap between these two than these two. So it's gonna be more tinkering. We'll see what we can come up with. Alright, so about another hour has passed. I've been trying to re-engineer this. What I've done, the axle sets come with this for the top and this for the bottom. And I tried this on the bottom and it made the pinion angle way too far off. So the kit also comes with the front shock mounts, which I don't really have a way to show you now, so they're hard to get to, but they mount they go up and around the leaf, so they're shaped like a fork kind of. So I mounted them on the back side of the back bolt, and I had to put a 2mm shim in there to raise it up so that this arm didn't hit the bolt head for the other bolt. And not sure if you can see, the pinion angle's pretty good. It's off just a little bit when it pulls up. I don't know how that's going to work once we get the drive line in there. We'll worry about that later. We may still have to do some moving stuff around. May have to swap back to the other bracket and move the upper arm forward or wherever. But for now, this gives us the most up and down movement. It will not tilt side to side. That is an unexpected problem. Like these will flex somewhat side to side because of the leaf spring, but this being 4 solid wide mounts. So I guess a quick solution to that would be make a 4-link bar, something with a jointed end that would give us our side to side flex, and we could set the link to exactly what we need. And I'm not gonna mess with that right now. We'll worry about that later. For now, I'm gonna get it flipped over and put some tires on it and see what it looks like. Alright, so I found a stopping point. I had to go ahead and mock it all up. I really wanted to see kind of how it's gonna look in the end. This thing is massive. Like I said, it's looking good. The forward drive axle, I think the pinion angle and stuff will work, and we actually do have a little bit of side to side flex now that it's right side up. So I gotta wait till I get all the hardware. I just kind of left everything loose there. Need the right shock ends and those other longer, I don't even know what you call those kind of screws with the shim on them, the sleeve. But anyway, waiting on a few parts. Get that all buttoned up. Next video we'll probably, I don't know where we're going to go next. I've got a new servo for it. I didn't get to put that in today. So we'll do that next time. I've got the center caps for the front wheels. And we got to get the suspension buttoned up before we can really move on to the body. And I'm still not sold. That front bumper, I think I bolted it on. It's still sticking out way too far. I know why they did it for RC purposes, but that really needs to be back flush with the grill. So I'm going to have to do something about that. It's got to move back 1/4 inch to make me happy. So we'll probably end up cutting that plastic front bumper mount and trying to re-glue it. I don't know what I've got for that. May have to get some plastic welder stuff like that. Something, we'll figure it out. But anyways, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next one.
Thank you.